I am going to make the argument that Tesla should accumulate a large silver position on their balance sheet. I know, sounds crazy. Hear me out. So Tesla is sitting on a very large cash position on their balance sheet currently. Let me show you just how much they're sitting on their balance sheet after all the secondaries and the things that they've done. They have actually accumulated a huge amount of money on their balance sheet. So as of New Year's, Tesla is sitting on 17.7 billion in cash on their balance sheet. Now, what's interesting is the dollar is actually very strong right now. So the dollar is showing a lot of strength. How long that lasts, we don't know until eventually inflation will set in. So what's interesting is silver is sitting at a very reasonable price in comparison to gold. And as the effects of inflation start setting in, like keep in mind, you hear the CEO of MicroStrategy, Michael Saylor, talking about this a lot, that they had a lot of cash on their balance sheet and they know inflation is on the way. So they got to do something to protect that cash. Now, if you're in Tesla's position and you're sitting on that much cash on your balance sheet, quite a bit of cash, and you need silver for your products, keep in mind there's a few ounces of silver per car that they do. Silver is a great conductor. It's actually the best conductor on the planet of electricity, best material to conduct electricity on the planet, better than copper, better than gold. A lot of people don't know that. So they use silver in their products quite a bit. The most silver is being used in solar panels, though. So they are a solar panel manufacturer, and there's about 2/3 an ounce of silver per solar panel. A lot of people tend to forget that to put a group of solar panels on the roof of a house, just your average residential house, it's going to be anywhere from 10 ounces to a kilo of silver. So anywhere between 10 and roughly 30 ounces of silver just for your average house to have solar panels. So quite a bit of silver is being used in solar panels. And he often talks about how if you use a small corner of, say, Nevada, or a small corner of one of these states, you could have enough solar power to power the whole country in the U.S., and so that would use a lot of silver. So Elon Musk, if you actually are ambitious about that goal, if you actually want to do that, you're going to need a lot of silver. Now, what's crazy is, again, you're sitting on that much cash on your balance sheet. Gold has recovered to its prior all-time highs from 2011 and then some. So it's actually past the prior highs of 2011, and it is recovered to that point. Let me move over there. So again, gold from 2011 until now is back up to those highs. However, the industrial metal silver that is needed by Tesla has not recovered yet from those highs. So the highs that it got in 2011 was just under 50 an ounce, and it's still sitting at half of that, down at 25. So huge opportunity to accumulate a large silver position, not to mention a copper position as well. Copper has actually recovered and then some from where it fell from 2011. So 2011 highs was around $4.50 per pound of copper. Now we're back almost at $5, which means silver tends to trail copper. So when you see copper up 2.74%, that tells me silver's about to trail behind that, and it is. But I think it has a lot of room to run. But that tells you a lot here. And a lot of people have not brought up this point, that because copper has recovered from 2011, that would tell you, because that's an industrial metal. Silver is not only the industrial metal, it is a better conductor than copper. I know copper is less expensive, but it is a better conductor of copper. So when you're using it for the individual parts in an electric car, and it is the most reflective material on the planet, so it's highly needed in solar panels as well. So you need silver for these certain applications, and silver has not recovered as an industrial precious metal like copper has to that 2011 high. So that tells me silver is extremely undervalued. But the fact of the matter is they also need a lot of copper for their cars. So if I was in Tesla's position, if I was Elon Musk, and I knew that inflation was out of control and was going higher and higher and higher, and it wasn't transitory like we've been told, and I had that much cash on my balance sheet, I would be looking at silver here, and I would be looking at copper here, not only those two metals, but all of them. all of the different materials that I need for my cars, whether it's rolls of aluminum going into the factory, whatever is needed, I would be buying that right now if I was Elon Musk. If you're sitting on that over $17 billion in cash at Tesla, you got to figure out something you're going to do with that, because you are losing your buying power year over year. As of right now, you're losing roughly 7.5%, and that's if you believe their CPI figures. Really, that number might be well over 15, 20%. And so if you know that you're losing 20% of your buying power and you're sitting on that many billions, you got to do something with that. And silver, not only is it an industrial metal that you need specifically for your electronics in your electric cars, but also heavily needed in your solar panels. And if you have those big dreams of having a big solar field that can power the entire country, you're going to need a lot of this metal. So why not put yourself at a competitive advantage to other solar panel manufacturers, to other auto manufacturers? If I was in that position that Tesla's in, they have way more cash on the balance sheet than their competition. So they're in a great position here. The dollar is strong. It's artificially strong in my personal opinion. And you're sitting there with all of that cash and you need to protect it from inflation. You need this metal for what you're doing. You also need your lithium. You need your cobalt. You need a lot of copper. Wow. I mean, and you have all of that space in your warehouse too. If you're using, roughly 100 kilograms per car in copper, I mean, that's a lot of copper. Why not buy a ton of copper right now? That is a major, major strategic advantage that is being overlooked by Tesla. If all commodities are skyrocketing right now, inflation is out of control, and importing, exporting of these commodities is going to get harder, mining is going to get more expensive, and it's going to be more expensive to import, export. So why not back up the truck and get as much of these metals as you can possibly get with that balance sheet? I'm surprised that there hasn't been an announcement. They have bought Bitcoin for their balance sheet as a hedge against inflation, and they literally wrote that as one of the reasons as a hedge against inflation for why they bought Bitcoin, but they have not announced buying silver. I don't know why. Maybe they're doing it and they're just not announcing it. But I wanted to make this video to talk about just how much it is needed. But the big aspect specifically for silver, and why I'm talking specifically about silver, I think they should buy all of the others that they need as well: copper, cobalt, lithium, etc., aluminum, all these different things that they use in their products. Silver specifically is not only an industrial metal that is being eaten up roughly 50% by industry, it is also a monetary metal, and that is not what copper is. Copper is not a monetary metal. Copper is strictly industrial, and it has recovered, like I showed you in this chart. Just to show you again, copper has recovered to that 2011 high. Silver has not recovered to that 2011 high. Also, platinum has not recovered to that 2011 high, which is very interesting to me that both platinum and silver have not recovered, but copper, being only an industrial metal, has recovered to that high. I think silver is about to do the same type of a chart, and it just hasn't done it yet, and is providing a huge opportunity in silver, and that's why I'm heaviest silver in my personal portfolio. It just seems like a matter of time before we see this recover back up to those 50 levels. I mean, in my personal opinion, again, these are all these videos are my personal opinion, not to be taken as financial advice, so disclaimer, but I think silver should be at that $50 price as I'm speaking right now. As you're watching this video, as I'm speaking, I think it should be back at that high, just like copper recovered to that high. They're a very similar metal, but silver is actually a better conductor than copper. It is easier to work with when you're talking about small electronics, which is why they use it to conduct electricity between small the term is slipping my mind, but they use it for conducting electricity in small electronics for a reason, because it's easier to work with than copper. But not only that, it is way more conductive than any other material. So copper is very conductive, but silver is actually more conductive than copper, more conductive than gold, and that is wildly overlooked. But the big thing with silver is with solar panels. Solar panels need silver because it is the most reflective material on the planet. So most conductive, most reflective on the planet. There isn't a material more reflective or more conductive than silver. So if you're building solar panels and you have those kind of aspirations that Elon Musk has, You need silver, but the best aspect of it is it's undervalued. When you look up the silver to gold ratio, I have argued in the past in my videos that I think the silver to gold ratio should be at that 2011 figure. I always bring up 2011 because that is when we saw highs in precious metals. Again, gold recovered to that 2011 high, silver has not. If silver did recover, it would show that the silver to gold ratio was in that 30-to-1 figure like it shows here. And that is back when gold was around 1900 and silver was 50 an ounce. The silver to gold ratio, just for anybody that doesn't know the silver to gold ratio, it means that it takes 31.6 ounces of silver to buy 1 ounce of gold in 2011. I think I'm blocking the date on the charts. Let me move myself over here. But in 2011 here, the ratio was 31.6. So that means it took 31.6 ounces of silver to buy 1 ounce of gold in April of 2011. Now, today, just to show how undervalued silver is, it takes 76.26 ounces of silver, more than double, much more than double on the silver to gold ratio of what it was back then. So 76.26 ounces of silver per ounce of gold today. So that just goes to show you how much gold has recovered, but silver is falsely suppressed and undervalued. Again, just my personal opinion that I think silver is wildly undervalued, and I think it is a huge opportunity for Tesla to do something with these billions sitting on its balance sheet to protect it from inflation. What I think will happen is I've talked about this in the past about the hot potato theory. Money will flow from equities, from bonds into the dollar index, and that's why we're seeing the dollar showing so much strength. Let me pull up the 1-year chart. This is the 1-year chart on the dollar. Some serious strength going with the dollar up to 98.5. So we're seeing inflation taking its toll on oil. I mean, look at that. Elon Musk actually just tweeted, I made a video about this on the channel, about how oil was out of control and we need to start pumping oil in the country. And you're starting to see the effects of inflation and the supply shock in oil right there. And I think what's going to happen is money is going to flood out of this space here, and it's going to flood into the dollar and flood into the safe haven assets. And I think silver is the perfect safe haven asset to accumulate for Tesla. And I would argue maybe they're already doing it. Maybe we just don't know right now. But I think it's a huge opportunity that's being overlooked. Back. Hopefully, maybe this video reaches out to Tesla. If enough people hit that like button, enough people in the silver community hit the like button on here. I know I say it every video. I know it's annoying, and I know it's just sitting there, and you're like, I don't know. Maybe I should click it. Maybe I shouldn't. It really does help with the YouTube algorithm if you take that split second to hit that like button. And if this video was valuable to you, please do subscribe to the channel. Click the subscribe down there and the bell afterwards to be notified of all future videos. If you want to see pictures of my collectibles and things and silver and all the things that I hold, go to my Instagram at Soltan on Instagram. Shoot me a follow there. What do you think about this idea? Am I crazy to say this? Post in a comment down below, and hopefully maybe this gets to somebody on Tesla's, finance board over there, somewhere in the finance department. Somebody sees this video. Who knows what happens? But if I was in that position, I would be very nervous to hold that many billions on my balance sheet. That's quite a bit of billions sitting there, and it is going to be losing buying power year over year if there is nothing done with it. Now, maybe you don't need to spend the whole 17 billion, but certainly you could put a couple billion in silver. That's the video. Thank you so much for watching. See you at the next one. Signing out.